Hi, I'm Shay Biran, and for the past 5 years, I've been dealing with the construction sector, mainly on issues in health, safety, and wages under different positions. Now, I'm the CEO of a fund that was founded in 1990 by the Builders Association and the Construction Worker Union. It is funded by employers' contribution, and it supports the industry through professional training, safety, welfare, innovation, and other activities. I came to talk about the linkage between training and technology. And I'm going to start with the rationale for the investment in training. The economic incentive for training is described in this graph. You can see in the chart that the red columns are the investment, the initial investment in a new unskilled worker. After a time, the investment starts paying off, and we can see it with the green columns giving the return on the skilled employee work. In the construction sector, things work a bit differently. It's fragmented, subcontracted. Every subcontractor with different employees and workers come and goes, starting with the foundations, ending with glass, glazing, finishing work. The general contractors does not employ directly the employees, and he basically doesn't even know them. And it is trivial to say that he has no incentive to invest in their training. Also, the subcontractors has a very low incentive of investment in their workers' training. First, because the skills in the construction sector are transversal. It means that if you know how to put tiles, you know how to do it for any employers in any site. Also, after you've become a skilled tiler, you can go to self-employment and say bye-bye to your old boss with very, very little constraints. The short-term employment in the sector means that there is very short-term planning horizon of HR, and the volatility of the business model means that when there's enough work, you can't spare even 1 day of work. But when there is not enough projects, then the workers just find other solutions in other employers or other sectors. And the low margins of subcontractors are detrimental to creating investment in training. So there's a lack of incentive to invest in training for both general contractors and subcontractors. But this is a lost transaction for the individual employer. As you can see, doesn't necessarily mean that it is a lost transaction for the entire sector. You can see the known chart from a few slides ago. We have the investment in the red columns. We have the return for the employer in a short and green column. And then the rest of the columns are basically what other employers would gain from a skilled employee moving in the sector. But the initial investment will not happen because it's a losing transaction for the individual employer. It means this lack of investment is a market failure that creates a phenomenon called skill shortage. The consequences of skill shortage are quality issues, high accident rates, prolonged construction schedules, low productivity, bad image, and a degenerated and outdated training institutions. With no incentive, there is no demand. With no demand, there is no supply. And technology could offset the skill shortage and its consequences. It can create high-quality jobs that will attract people who wouldn't come today. It can give unskilled workers robots and other automated facilities to operate without high skills. it can allow us to build more with the same manpower, and it creates a safer work environment because of less manual operations. So innovation in construction can boost up productivity, but this potential is very slow to materialize. Why? It is a universal phenomenon. Not only Israel, but other countries as well are experiencing low productivity. What you see is a chart showing the ratio between the productivity of the construction sector and the productivity of the general economy. You can see that in all countries it is less than 1, meaning lower than the average, and it is substantially lower than the average. The average is 70%. Israel is not unique. It is even slightly above average. My hypothesis is that similar factors create this market failure in both training and technological innovation. The process of making a good idea into reality starts with an idea, ends with mass production. But on the way, there is on-site experimentation. And it's a prerequisite, because without experimenting somewhere, no one would buy your technological innovative solution. But for that, volunteers are required. And you remember this chart? The same as training, the initial investment is a lost transaction for the contractor who volunteers to be experimenting a new material or new technology. And when it picks up and starts gaining productivity and efficiency, the entire global economy will enjoy it. And it has a very extreme downside, because a new method or material in a project might create bankruptcy for contractors. It means that it's not that complicated to understand why things are so slow to take up. Sectoral institutions can act as accelerators, creating more innovation and even attracting global capital. ConTech, which we know, our greenhouse that takes entrepreneurs into the sector and escorts them through the phases of creating a startup. Sectoral venture capital, which with expertise in construction technology, is something that we're working on right now and is very, very soon to materialize. A sectoral sandbox, a place where you can experiment both new training and new technologies and innovation in construction, giving it the chance to achieve critical mass in order to go to mass production. And how about training itself? Training can become more efficient, boosting productivity using digital solutions, but that doesn't happen when there's no incentive to invest in training. And sectoral facilities with economies of scale can help it function. And countries with functioning sectoral institutions can be more attractive to global investors who will have places to experiment new materials and technologies. Thank you. I was Shay Biran about the linkage between training and technology in the construction sector.